Hello, my name is Awongwa, and I'm here to talk to you about human ontological vulnerability. Now, human ontological vulnerability is a philosophical phenomenon that was first established by Jonathan Lear, who was studying the history of the Native Americans or Indian Americans, as previously known. So it is centered around the idea that we as human beings inevitably inherit or adopt a way of life. And that way of life is expressive of a culture, and the culture informs our identity. Right. And so now, it that culture and that identity or that way of life altogether is susceptible or vulnerable to distraction. In other words, there are social events that could happen such that we end up losing it all. So we end up losing our way of life, end up losing our culture. And now there's a question around losing our identity as well. So it is this idea then that if I have an identity, for instance, I'm a Xhosa man, and then me being a Xhosa man represents a certain excellency in a way of life, right? So this would include cultural events or cultural practices that I do that belong to the Xhosa nation in South Africa. And so then the question or the phenomenon of ontological vulnerability occurs in an instance whereby the environment in which I live in, South Africa, has been altered such that I cannot do those practices anymore. And so now we have the question, am I still Xhosa? So what happens to my identity once I lose my way of life, or once my way of life has been eroded significantly? And so then I take the concept of ontological vulnerability and try to apply it to the Black South Africans in general, but Xhosas in particular in South Africa, to try and understand then that after the onslaught of colonialism and of apartheid and how it affected the way of life of South Africans in general and native South Africans, then we want to ask the question of how did it affect their identity, and then we can try and find solutions as to how could we rebuild the lost way of life, the lost identity, such that people can identify once more with the activities that they take on.